think he had an idea who he was last time they played.
We do what we do and let him do what he does, so let him be bad.
It's just football talk, little trash talk, nothing major.
Don't do dumb.
Emotions are going to be high. I mean, it's Pittsburgh, Cleveland.
If you can't get up for an NFL football game, right, that you're in the wrong business.
It's Pittsburgh. It's AFC North football.
It's gonna be tough physical. It always is.
I know I'm better than this.
He's slicing the dice right now.
Like, I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes.
I feel like an idiot.
Continue to step back up to the plate. That's a baseball reference. I was a great baseball player, too.
Might be reasons, but there's no excuses, Tony.
Our defense is the best in the world.
Don't quote me on that.
I do believe that we can find a way. Do you believe?
Browns, Steelers, they kick it off right there. Acrisure Stadium, 1 o'clock today in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And the Browns have a chance to do something that they haven't done since 1988, and that is sweep the Pittsburgh Steelers. Welcome on into the tailgate. We are at MGM Northfield again this week. I'm Mark Schwab, Reggie Langhorne, Josh Cribbs with you. You were on the field. That was your team.
That was my team in 1988. Yep, and I remember when I first got to Cleveland, I had no idea of the rivalry between Pittsburgh and Cleveland. And then we hadn't won there in 16, 17 years. So the idea of the fact that we beat them there, and then we beat them up pretty bad a few years later. But yeah, we're still the ones that only could sweep them and win there. It's tough to play there. I mean, they still are the Steelers, but today this football team has an opportunity to do some good things, even though we won't make the playoffs. We still can look good and compete well, and it's nice what they did last week, but I still like wins, Josh. I still like wins.
Exactly. And I see this meme going around of, they have SpongeBob all depressed under Deshaun Watson, losing under Deshaun Watson, then him happy, and then losing under Jameis Winston because it's sort of a better loss.
You lose pretty instead of lose ugly.
Yeah, but the team is actually, fighting harder, and there's more into it, and we're there all the way to the end. I envy that team that you had, was able to, sweep the Steelers because, every time I played them, they had, Hall of Fame talent. They were the team to beat. They were already headed into the playoffs like that there are now. And it's been tough in the AFC North, especially when, the playoffs go through Baltimore, Steelers, and the Bengals. So it's been a tough feat to sweep the Steelers. But we would play spoiler. I'm not sure it'll make up for the season, but it's kind of like a, feeling good, getting hot chocolate in a cold time.
And in the normal situation, by us having a losing season, there really wouldn't be a whole lot behind this game or the rivalry of this game. But it's Pittsburgh and Cleveland. And then you have the stuff back and forth between Myles Garrett and T.J. Watt. So you got a little bit of fire there. And then you got the fire between Newsome and George Pickens. So it gives us a little more enthusiasm, a little more reason to show up on time and be ready to knock them in the head, Josh.
Yeah, and they showed the clips in the intro. Right. And we all seen all week how Pickens said, I don't know who is that guy. And just for our fans out there and for viewers, we are taught the game the week before, and they know the Browns through and through, from playing them twice. But we receive scouting reports on the people we're going to play, especially who you're going to go against. So the wide receivers for the Pittsburgh Steelers know exactly who the secondary and the defensive members are by name, their coverages, what they like to do. So he knows rightfully well who Newsome is.
So they've got George Pickens, who seems to stay in trouble on the field. He's always being warned or he does something foolish at some point. I played with a couple guys, Hanford Dixon and Frank Minifield. They would be in his ear chirping every play on his way back to the line of scrimmage, and before the game's over, they're going to find a way to get a play on him or get a penalty on him. And I think if our guys can get in George Pickens' head today,
absolutely.
But you got to be careful. You don't want to
mess your
own. You poke the bear and poke the wrong bear, too. So it's a double-headed sword there.
I can imagine Hanford and Frank, best in the business. Those guys would lock you down.
Yeah.
And they could, he's a pretty good player. He thinks he's like the best receiver in the league. I don't think he's the best. I think he's
most of us receivers are that way.
I was about to say, if you don't think you are, then that's the problem.
But he's such a mouth, too.
Yes.
Not everyone is a mouth.
Well,
that guy's a mouth.
You can be that if you have the stats to back it up, and everyone can't do that.
All right, here is our Charter Spectrum poll of the day. Who will have more receiving yards today, Judy or George Pickens? Right now, it is Judy running away with it, but we are very early on in the show. We'll kick this around a little bit later on in the program. We are off and running. Separatini Chevy Tailgate from MGM Northfield on a Browns-Steelers Sunday.
What time does it have to be dropped? That matters though, because it's 6. I mean, he got to leave right away, and then he won't be able to move for. You got to think about that. 6 in the evening. If he leaves at 6, he won't have time to, rest. You have to go straight through the night, which he can. He'll get in Cleveland by like 12, but he won't be able to move.
2 minutes back to us.
Look at something. Oh, and just so you know, we did it again in '86. So I was on a couple of teams. I was curious. I know we won 12 games.
No, the sweep though.
Pittsburgh Steelers, we won.
But '88
Pittsburgh
was the
Steelers, we
last
won.
time.
I'm here at BetMGM Northfield Park. I'm joined now with Cash Lovett, Senior Sports and Race Manager here. How easy is it to place a wager?
Well, here at BetMGM, we love to say there's 3 ways to play. You can upload and play on your app. You can bet right here at a retail sportsbook or over at the kiosk. So we make it as easy as possible for you.
There's also some good promotions going on for players as well.
Absolutely. We have Football Frenzy, which takes place every Monday and Thursday. On the app, you have your second chance, first touchdown. Come up, we'd love to show you how to do it.
That's the best way to just try and get some money. That's what we need, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Cash. Well, I heard there's some harness racing, so I got to get over there. But thanks again for joining us. Switching locations, moving outside now. I'm joined by Kenny Livingood, a race announcer here. Tell me a little bit more about harness racing. I don't know much about it.
Yeah, the biggest difference with our harness horses is that the drivers sit behind them and they control them with the lines. And we'll have about 15 races on a night, so if you come out and join us, we have racing throughout the entire evening.
All right, and where can they find more information about those races?
MGMNorthfieldPark.com.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much, Kenny.
Now, Bench Strength, sponsored by Wayside Furniture.
Oh, listening to these two talk Brown Steelers. The off-air conversations are even better. Bench strength. Here's where we're going today. It was Michael Woods, who had a couple of moments last week. He got in. Tillman didn't play. A couple catches, 29 yards. So 2 things. 1, what do you think of this guy? Can he be a thing? 2, how good do you feel the Browns are at developing guys like this? It looked like Tillman was flashing, then he got hurt.
Yeah, when we talk about development in the NFL, is we need to win now. So you develop while you're not playing. So he has to have developed while he wasn't active. Okay. So now that he is active, when the ball is thrown to him, catch it. When they throw the ball to him, when they target him, catch the ball. And that's how you stay on the field. And it's as simple as that. It's not rocket science. When they throw you the ball, catch the ball. And when you have a route and you're open, or you have an opportunity to catch it, get open, catch the football. It's literally that simple. Development, that takes place, before the NFL and, while you're not active. It's not a lot of development going on right now on the Browns.
And I agree with that. Once you get to the pros, you are capable of being in the NFL. The thing for me was Richard Mann was our receiver coach, and he taught us things that some of us hadn't done the way that our offense would be a better offense. And I think that guys that are on the practice squad should pay attention when they get a chance to do the look squad. But I tell you this, coaches are only really coaching when they get a guy that's good and they make him great. When they get a guy that's average and make him good, that's when you're doing your job, because so many coaches may shy away from these superstar $20 million coach players and not really put that same enthusiasm. But what you got to do is make sure you stay in the mind. You are still in charge. Head coaches that let teams do what they want, offside penalties, come in meetings late, they don't stay coaches very long. And it's the same way position people. But we would not have known that Jerry Jeudy was Jerry Jeudy until Jameis Winston came in. We would not have known that Elijah Moore was Elijah Moore till Jameis Winston came in. Yeah. So we've had talent on this team, but no one to expose it. So now we're watching them play ball.
Chad O'Shea, fifth year with the Browns as a receiving coach, also the passing game coordinator. Should O'Shea's troops need something today, you got to wonder if they're going to go after Porter. The Steeler cornerback flagged 3 times for pass interference. He's had it a lot this year. Super talented kid. He was the first pick of the second round for the Steelers. A couple years back, they got the pick from the Bears. I don't know. Do you target a guy when he has a lot of PI calls?
You would like to think they do, right? But, we're the Cleveland Browns, and right now we're just trying to stack up, positive plays. We don't have the luxury to go out there and say we're going to take advantage of him like we're a playoff Super Bowl caliber team. We're just trying to win. We're just trying to keep the chains moving. So however they can exploit the Steelers, whether it's Porter Jr., whether it's the running the ball effectively, however we can get that done, they will try to expose that.
All right, we talked a little bit about Pickens and Newsome. We're going to hear from them coming up, and also look at the injury report. The Steelers get a key guy back this week, and there's a Charter Spectrum poll. Who's having more yards through the air today? Pickens making a little dent. That means a Steeler fan voted. Cleveland19.com/vote. Place to go for that one. We're back in a flash on the Tailgate.
I can't remember. Or maybe you're just talking to the guy, your partner there. I can't remember, but y'all had a good little chat going.
Yeah, I love it. It's easy, but
your plugs on Instagram are pretty good.
Oh,
it'll make you watch
yes, sir.
more.
What do you got?
Oh yeah.
Hold up, guys. What's up, Chris?
All right, after injury report, there's a second topic there if you want it. Why is the Browns defense gotten worse?
All right. So we're going to do injury report with Highsmith and talk about the defense. You guys can hear Chris, all right? So you see where you're going.
I'm in transition. I'm working. I'm trying to position myself for that Kent job. So I'm doing a lot of work and acquiring, commitments.
Right.
So
is it a done deal, or you're?
No, it's not a done deal.
Okay.
But I have the.
You're on the table.
I have the audience.
Right.
And it's
Good.
I'm trying to bring in guys. And this is just between us. I had a conference call with Hugh Jackson. He's a GM recruiting coordinator for Georgia State. But I had a conference call with him just the other day. Yesterday, matter of fact. That went really well. Trying to poach Eric Mangini.
Oh, yeah?
I want him to do a favor for me.
Is he even in the game?
Nope.
What's
he's
he doing?
Commentating. He's ESPN.
Oh.
I don't think it's like a big gig for him.
Right. Won't they pay those guys that do that every now and then, like Mike Lombardi. Like, what is the deal with him?
Yeah, it's not high. You know, they trying to get other shows off of that. You know, they'll get something. You know, they get flight, room, and board, and it's very little.
Right.
It's just enough.
We say it in our room, smart, tough, accountable, resilient team. And I'm all about the team. Obviously, he's a guy that cares more so about himself. And you can see that in the penalties that he causes.
You think you'll talk to Greg Newsome at all today, before the game, or anything?
I don't even know who that is.
The Injury Report, sponsored by the man that makes them pay, Tim Misney.
All right, George. Yeah, you don't even know who he is. Okay. Here's the injury report. Questionables are Thornhill, Thrash, Pickens, although it sounds like he is going to play based on what I saw on the app formerly known as Twitter a few minutes ago. Tillman, Wills, Hurst, Kamara, Harden all listed as out. Wills out. Ifedi in at left tackle. Alex Highsmith off that list for the Steelers. He will play. He is their second best pass rusher behind Watt, which means he'd be the best pass rusher on many teams. How concerning is that today?
Well, it's always concerning when you get another top pass rusher back. He is, if he's back, that means he can go. So we shouldn't expect him to be, limping his way back. He probably will be on a pitch count, meaning not in there every snap. However, you have to account for him, just like you would Watt. So our line will have their work cut out for them, but they've always had their work cut out for them. So I'm interested in seeing what the fix is, or when you see a lot of tight end sets, to be able to account for, protecting the quarterback. So time will tell on that.
And I think you'll see a different attitude because we did beat them 3 weeks ago here in Cleveland. And whatever excuses can be used as far as the snow, it really doesn't matter. You're playing football, it is what it is. But now we go into Pittsburgh, and those guys are quite aware of where they are as a team for the season. I think they're at 9 wins. They're trying to get to 10 wins. That's a big deal, and keep control of the AFC North. So Pittsburgh will be a little warm and ready to go today, and you need to be ready to strap it up because it's going to be tough.
Let's take a look at some defensive numbers. Going to compare 2023 to 2024.
Oh,
and
Lord.
Last year, it looked like they had some issues. They had that home road splits,
Yeah.
but they still were really good overall. Jim Schwartz won the top assistant coach of the year. Oh, look at this. From first versus the pass to 19th, they've dropped against the run. The points allowed have doubled. Third down numbers much worse. What's going on here, guys?
Well, you take the first 6-7 games of the season. I mean, they didn't get any rest. I mean, we were 3 and out. We didn't score over, 18 points? I mean, we didn't have a 200-yard passing. I mean, that's a lot of problems for defense, and it takes a lot to come out of the cellar when you're in the cellar with all these other statistics. So, they're climbing back. They're playing a little better. They've created some turnovers with Denzel having 2 last week. So, there's still light at the end of the tunnel. And that's not to say that once a team gets to see what you're trying to do against them, the next few years they're going to be a little more aware of it, and they're going to try to be better at that on an offensive side of the ball. But I think our offense will make our defense tick better by scoring points.
Absolutely, and it's unfortunate that we are that complex as a defense that, it does, count if the offense, helps them out. They need the offense to have momentum, and then the defense gets momentum as well. But it is more than just X's and O's. You had some injuries. You gave up Zadarius. You don't have your star linebacker in there and JOK. So there has been some problems and some shuffling in the DB, in the secondary. So things have changed. Also, offensive coordinators have been put on notice. They know you're facing a number one talented defense, so they have to match up against them. They have to be challenged by their head coaches. Hey, we can't let this team take advantage of us. And other teams, other offenses have been having success knowing how good this defense can be.
They're gaming up. That's the thing. Now you're the big dog.
Yep.
They want to come after you. Jerry Jeudy was a big dog last week against Denver. All right, we mentioned him a little bit ago. We were talking about the ability to develop receivers. Clearly, there was some motivation there as the revenge game. What should we expect from him now the rest of the way?
I just think more of the same.
more of the same.
It has to be.
I think he's set the standard. They know what he's capable of. Turn him loose.
Turn him loose. All right, guys, we are off and running here on the tailgate from MGM Northfield. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday morning. We're going to be here till noon. We've got the Charter Spectrum poll. Speaking of Judy, who will have more receiving yards today, him or George Pickens? Cleveland19.com/vote.
Sports, really.
That's fine. I didn't hear go to break, so I just started something. Okay, we're gonna do pigskin poll.
Okay.
And then it's who should be the Browns quarterback next year. It's Winston, Watson, or somebody else. We'll talk about that, and we can bring back Judy too if we want to.
How long we got till we come back?
Chris, how long till we're back? About 90 seconds.
Okay. Oh, so they want it straight through. So charge a little more. That's direct, and that's a nighttime flight. 4:30. Why not? Well, we can personally convene in Chicago. And yeah, he can do it, though. Talk to him real quick. Eugene, just be like, he had to go straight through. It's a 4:30 in the morning. Tell him ask him where the factory be open at early, man.
What week is this in the NFL? Are we at 13, 14?
What's their record? 9 and 10.
They were 7 and 6. They're 3 and 9 this week. Well, no, because they've had the bye, right? So it's week 14.
Sounds right.
Let's go, Jameis. Monday Night Football. How are we feeling?
Dun, 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 dun. Funny thing about this opportunity is we all know that dun, 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 dun. That's what we do it for.
Now the Pigskin Poll, sponsored by Hyundai.
Jameis Winston is one of the most wildly entertaining players in the league to watch on and to listen to off the field. This was the Pigskin Poll. We do it every week. Put it on the air during the newscast. Ask you folks to log on and vote. You kindly do so, and then we discuss here on the program. All right, it says who should. We ran this earlier in the year, and it said who will. This one is who should. Different question. Who should the Browns be starting at quarterback in 2025? Jameis Winston, Deshaun Watson, or somebody else not even on the roster? Gentlemen?
Okay, I'll go first. As of right now, based off of play, who should? It should be Jameis Winston. And not to say you shouldn't draft someone to have them in transition. Of course, not a first rounder. You don't draft a first rounder for him to sit the bench, but you can draft somebody in the second or third or something like that. And this is just based off of the way he's playing. If his only Achilles heel is those picks, I need to see a quarterback coach come and take him to church, and just like he said, get rid of the pick sixes, and he will be a franchise guy. And this is what we see, and this is what we all thought of Flacco from last year. If Flacco would have started this year for us while we had to be in transition, not thinking about money or nothing like that, that was a good decision until we find our next up guy, our transition guy.
It had to be the funniest quote of the week where he praying that God will deliver him from pick sixes.
I mean, well, at least he's real. At least he's being honest. Deliver me, Lord.
So
Come on.
there's a dog whisperer. there's a horse whisperer, and what we need is a quarterback whisperer, because Jameis Winston can actually win games for this football team, but not with all of the pick sixes or the interceptions. And this late in his career, can an old dog learn new tricks to not throw those balls, to throw them in the ground and live to fight another day? I don't know that. But I would think the guy that has won the Heisman, a guy that has won the national championship, somebody's got to be able to get the combination to unlock all that other stuff he's got on the inside.
Well, we talk about, I know Steelers, okay, let's just talk about Tom. I know he was able to do it with Russ, not just saying that he was a pick six guy, but we looked at Russ, his play in Denver, and we figured he was gone until he with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now they're a playoff team, and Russ is playing good, so it can be done.
Cleveland Browns, that's your job.
Here's the results.
Get us the guy.
Get us the guy.
Let's pop them up, the results of the pigskin poll. Jameis 60, someone else 39, Deshaun Watson 1%. In other words, we know what Deshaun was doing with his screen time this week. I get the voting for Winston because even though he's made losing plays, losing pretty is better than losing ugly. And he made a lot of them.
We're not going to do that.
No.
Losing is losing, baby.
You can't say that to athletes.
It is
losing is losing. Now.
Was that more fun
we're not
last
gonna
week
settle.
than the
We're not going to settle for it.
You got
Absolutely
two athletes
not.
up here.
Yeah.
We won't accept that.
I
won't accept it.
I didn't say one was good.
Okay.
I said one was more entertaining.
I
than the other one.
apologize.
I like the wordplay on that.
Right.
Losing is losing.
So Judy's obviously been his top guy. We talked about him a little bit. You think just turn him loose, and you think this guy's going to explode.
I mean, that's what he's been able to do. I can't explain why we had so much trouble with Deshaun getting the ball to Cooper. I couldn't explain it why he couldn't get the ball to Judy early in the year. And then all of a sudden, when Flacco came in, when Winston came in, what makes the offense move so freely, more comfortable with other folks than the guy that you paid the money to do it? Somebody picked the wrong guy.
And it's not just on the quarterback. So now Judy is held to a higher standard. He has to get open. He has to become available. He has to catch those balls. He has to get the yards after the catch. He has to complete, the game this season and with consistency and do the same things. If he's that guy, again, we said this last week. Now we feel like we got to steal. Now we feel like, he paid the right guy. He's supposed to be here.
And another thing, before we forget it, I want to make sure that we give a homage to our offensive line. They've been playing pretty good football. You don't hear a lot of holding penalties.
We didn't say nothing about the offensive line.
Right. I think they're doing a good enough job to be able to get to 497 yards. Somebody's doing something right. Conklin, I take everything I said bad about you back.
No. Keep playing. Keep playing.
He was great against Watt a couple of weeks ago. They need him to be that again today. This is, by the way, they got all these webcams or live cams up for Pittsburgh. This is a live view of the grave of Andy Warhol. This is the random stuff you get in the Steel City, folks. Cleveland19.com/vote. Place to go to get in on that poll. Tailgates, back in a flash on 19.
Oh. Wow.
What does that mean?
Paints on the camel suit.
He's an artist, film director, and producer, and that's.
Oh, okay. The guy who they was portraying in Men in Black, Andy Warhol. They had an actor play him.
Oh yeah.
And it was like this like the 70s, like saying anything, like, oh, I like the way the orange is. He had that type of voice, like, oh, yes, the orange is peeling. Yes, that is art. That's how they were portraying him.
That's the guy that duct taped the banana to the
They
wall.
were portraying him like that in Men in Black, because they went back in time on the show.
I'm not falling for the banana in my tailpipe.
I think I remember.
Men in Black.
You're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. I could watch that movie over
right.
with Detective Foley present merely as an observer.
Oh boy.
The kids don't get that line, Reg.
Right.
That was a classic.
Yeah. Axel.
Okay. Talk about Tomlin next. How he handles difficult personalities like this guy, Pickens and others in the past. You heard this. What am I? This is around the AFC, which,
See, they were.
He
was supposed to be Andy Warhol, and they was back in time, and he's an agent undercover, and he's like, man, y'all got to get me out of this. I can't tell the men from the women. So in this little rendition,
is that number? That's the first one.
Second one.
Second one. What is it? 3 of those?
Now, around the AFC, sponsored by Toyota dealers.
Said that George needed to grow up regarding the penalties that he had. That's been a recurring thing. Because of that, at what point do you consider changing the approach to work on him minimizing those penalties and situations in game?
I'm not going to give you any detail about what goes on behind the scenes in terms of his growth and development. You know that's my style, and I'm going to be really consistent in it. Being transparent with you guys doesn't necessarily help or accelerate the growth process, and that's my agenda, not necessarily feeding the beast.
But is it a concern that he's had these penalties that are costly?
If it is or isn't, I wouldn't necessarily tell you, to be quite honest with you.
Mike Tomlin on handling George Pickens. He's had Antonio Brown. He's had some guys like this. How do you guys feel about the way he handles these personalities?
I think it's amazing. You know, when they become too much, like a Belichick, they're not there anymore. As it related to Antonio Brown, as it related to everyone else, when they become these personalities and they reach their peak, they're on different teams. And like Tomlin said, I think he handled it and he said that well. Like, he's not interested in explaining to the media in that form, you know, what his plan is and feeding the beast, like he said. So
I've been cheering for Tomlin for a while. He's a Virginia boy, went to Denby High School. And the thing that I see in what he does with these players is, as long as it doesn't affect the team, there's a bit that he'll accept, but he won't accept the mess. So in other words, he's a good guy that gets in front of guys' faces to make sure they're aware of what they're doing. And when it starts to affect the team in a major way, it's going to get corrected. He just won't tolerate it. And guys respect him for that. But I think when you start hurting your team like George Pickens has done in some games, that has to be corrected. And I think Mike Tomlin's the guy that can correct it. Some coaches are incapable of it.
I've always felt like with players that have like a controversial side that sometimes can bring a negative thing to a team, whether it is on the field with penalties or off the fields with distractions. It really just boils down to this. Your ability to help a team win has to outweigh those issues.
100%.
That's all this is. If he's a jerk and he's not any good at football, he's not going to be here.
But then that's when you're going to have a coach that in a team meeting or in an offense-defensive meeting to stand up there and say, knock it off. The antics, knock it off. All right? And look at him directly. Not just a broad stroke to every team, to every teammate, but to look at him and say, knock it off.
Right.
And then move on.
How about this? It was a former Steeler, Deontay Johnson, who had spent the beginning part of the year in Carolina, was traded to Baltimore at the deadline. And last week, he did not go in the game. He refused to go in a game at one point. The Ravens have suspended him.
Conduct detrimental.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about that? How would you feel if a teammate said, I'm not going in?
He wouldn't be my teammate very long. And then if we talk about something like that, I almost wanted to say that a guy like Cam Haywood would get in the face of a Carl Pickens, a George Pickens, a guy like who's the big boy over in Baltimore now. I mean, those veteran players help address situations like this with young players. And not wanting to go in a game, why not? That's what you dreamed of doing in the league, is play football.
Yeah, and again, that's a part of that interview process when you know what type of guy you have. You know, is it George Pickens, that type of guy that won't go in the game? You know, and it comes down to, you know, are you all for one for the team? But that's the difference in complexity in the NFL versus collegiate. You know, you got guys that they play for the names on their back and not necessarily the name on the front.
I didn't even know that was a thing when I played ball. I mean, I've never known somebody to just say, nah, I'm good.
It's a new thing.
It's a new thing. Yeah.
It's definitely new.
I don't like new football. I like old football, Josh.
Hey, the football is changing every game. You see,
there's some guys out playing now. I think Josh played old football. Let's take a look at the inactives. What do we got here? Zappi, of course. Tillman we knew about. Foreman. I don't see really any surprises here based on what we expected with who usually plays and who has been hurt. All right, the Serpentini Chevy tailgate continues. We are at MGM Northfield today. The Browns at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh for a 1 o'clock kick. Stick around.
When I was getting off the plane, everybody was in a good mood because we won, but Jeff was pissed. Ted Marchibroda came to me. He says, "What are you doing tomorrow?"
Is this Jeff George Wood?
Yes.
Okay.
He says, Ted knew that Jeff respected me. And he said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" He said, "Why don't you take number 11, which was Jeff's number, why don't you take him out for a beer?" In other words, I don't want you to go sit with him and try to at least say, "Man, what's going on? Let's get through it." Yeah.
Ted Marchibroda.
Ted Marchibroda.
He is the answer to my favorite football trivia question that only one person has ever got, which now you'll know because you're doing it. Who is the only person to coach two different teams in the same city and two cities with the same team? He coached the Colts in Baltimore and Indianapolis.
Baltimore Colts.
And he coached the Baltimore Colts and the Baltimore Ravens. Two different teams, same city.
Two different cities.
Two different cities, same team.
Wow.
That's
a twister.
It is.
Yeah.
You have to unravel it just to tell it.
So he went with them, yeah.
One guy has gotten that.
So I'll tell you my story with Jeff George real quick. We were beating the crap out of him. I was at Cleveland, and then we went. He was a rookie. He got a big contract, and everybody was talking trash about him. So we would beat him maybe 27-0. They had taken him out of the game. He was sitting on his helmet. I ran a route over there and ended up in the back of their bench. And on my way out, because I hated people talking about the kid, I said, "Hey, man, it's going to be okay. You keep your head up and keep moving." As I ran back to the huddle. That's it. Just kind of gave him a vote of confidence. When I got to Indy, maybe the 3rd or 4th, 5th week of the season, he says, "You don't remember what you said to me, do you?" I go, "Nah." He says, "We were playing y'all. You came by me, you tapped me on the head and said, 'Hey, keep your head up, young man. It's going to be okay.'" He said, "I respect you every day since that."
Wow.
I remember doing it, but I didn't think it. No, but he hadn't forgotten it.
You ain't think it meant nothing to him.
And he had some big years with
It's
Atlanta.
amazing what you can say to someone that might help their day be bright. And Nelson Mandela has a
Now the Quick Picks, sponsored by Kia.
You know, some colleges are better than pro jobs. I don't think there's any question about that in my mind, because the coach runs the program. And so now in pro football, there's so much interference. There's so much out from the outside, well, we have to have a committee meeting to do this, or we need to do that. And this is not about control. I don't want anybody to misinterpret this, but I think it's about how many layers are put in.
That's Michael Lombardi on Bill Belichick. The news this week with him, he interviewed for the North Carolina football coach job. I think a lot of people were surprised by that. This guy's all about control. If you hire him in the NFL, you got to do it Bill's way. Your GM's probably gone. A lot of other people are probably gone. Lombardi seems to feel like, is he more likely to get the control he wants in college than he is at the pro level right now?
I don't think so. I just, it could be in his contract to whereas, no one is over him, and that there's guaranteed money to whereas it doesn't matter who's over him because they can't do nothing, about it. But I think losing that control and being the coach he is, if it isn't total control, then the job would be beneath him. Because he could very well just ride off in the sunset, be a Hall of Famer, and live good days commentating. But if he's going to take this job without the control that he normally has, I don't think that's a good deal for him.
I sit and I smile at this, and I hope I don't step on anyone's toes, but I'm not for sure if you take a coach that's in his 70s with a young 24-year-old lady and you guys move to a college city and promoting things of that nature, it doesn't sit well with me.
Okay.
I get it.
I don't have anything with someone's age or business or what they do, but if I'm going to be on a college campus, that's something I wouldn't want.
Language barrier.
If I'm a money man in that college, that doesn't sit well with me.
That's just sitting a little weird. But
Yeah.
let me ask you this.
That's like, you're dating grandpa.
Right. It is.
You can't do that at college. I mean, you got to at least get to the 40s.
The language barrier.
Right.
It is a barrier.
Yeah.
Would you guys want him in the NFL as a head coach of your team? The guy's record without Tom Brady is actually really bad.
I had a rough time when I first met Bill, but over the years we seem to have come to a common ground and respect. But he's done a great job. And yes, Brady left, and Brady still won a Super Bowl, and his teams sucked after they got to the fact where Brady wasn't around. Yeah. But he still has a way of discipline, putting a good football product on the field, and he has bold moves that have been successful for him. So he is a good football coach.
It's not just him as the coach. It's who he brings in underneath him. A lot of people who come under the Belichick tree ends up being, head coaches themselves. Eric Mangini, all these guys who you can look at and draw a direct line to him. So his staff would be more important than him back in the NFL.
See Urban Meyer in the news this week?
Was he in the club again?
Check this out.
He was in the bar again?
All right, Mr. Shad, you invested a lot into this franchise, and now it's time to make the right decision to get a return. The kid you've got down there is a gunslinger. Build it around him. Don't go for the old guard. Go for the young and fresh. Hire Ben, not Bill.
Once trying to give the Jaguars advice on who to hire. Who is the last person on planet Earth that should be advising the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Well, you just said it. Or that they would take their advice. Or that the fans would want to hear his advice.
I mean, I want Ryan Day to get his advice.
Don't they want him back in Columbus?
Well, right now, some people would take him back.
Yeah.
That's a better move.
I don't think that's going to happen, but there's some people that would take him back.
Well, that's a more likely move than them listening to his advice.
Oh, yeah, sure.
He's more likely to go back to Ohio State and be the head coach than the Jaguars are, or any of their fans, to listen to him.
I mean, listen, there's some things Herb knows. There's some things Herb does not know. Playing on Saturday, playing on Sunday. I want to hear more about the Saturday. Serpentini Chevy Tailgate continues from MGM Northfield. Who will have more receiving yards today? Jerry Jeudy doubling up George Pickens. Cleveland19.com/vote.
Money spending adult professors. You got to go undefeated and win a national championship.
Yeah, it'd be difficult. So let me tell you this. Bobby Aper, he was the special teams coach in Oakland when I was there, when I left the Browns. And there was a language barrier between him and the younger guys that was playing teams. Like, they didn't understand his, when he'd say, I want you to roll them over like a car made of steel and this and they were like, huh? And so every meeting, after he finished his speech, he'll say, and I was a player, all right, Josh, all right, Cribbs, you got him. I had to be a player's coach. That's what made me want to be a coach. He'd say, all right, Cribbs, you got him. Basically, translate what I just said.
Yeah, right.
You translate what I said. And that's the problem that he will have at the collegiate level. These guys are young. They're not going to – you got to basically tell them. And they're using different language now in a lot of high schools. They don't use smash in terms that are general. And I be telling my son as well, like, man, that's not a football term, that play y'all running. Who y'all OC? So it's a lot of teaching that's going to take place. And it's the staff. It matters the staff. But you're right, Reg. Like, I don't think he's going to –
Hey, he wouldn't be on my university if I was spending a couple of $1 million.
18-year-olders.
Yeah, nah. That's too close.
Whose careers aren't on the line. That's the thing. Like, NFL, your career matters. You got guys that got children.
I haven't seen it yet, but they usually bring it out last segment here.
I've been seeing everybody eat, man. It's been making me salivate. All the food people eat
2
in
more
front of
blocks.
Me. Like, man, let me get a bite of that.
Got it. Yeah, last segment. This is the one place that always runs pretty well.
Hi. I mean, what is the father? Because the girl's father's got to be, what, 50?
Younger than
55,
right.
56?
Who?
if Belichick's 24-year-old girlfriend.
Oh.
I mean, like her dad has got to be like, yeah.
Let's say 48, 50.
Yeah. Say he's 50. Say he's 60, right? Say he's 60. She's still 12 years.
Bill comes to my house.
Right.
Nah.
I don't like to think about it. I can't think about it. Money.
I mean, for an old man, it's cool, but
maybe she don't got maybe the
5 seconds to.
Now, the Big Run Report, sponsored by Duncan.
All right, Nick Chubb disappeared for large parts of that game in Denver, so much so that it came up during the halftime interview with Coach Stefanski. Is he okay? 9 carries, 21 yards. The average wasn't there. The snaps weren't there. Jerome Ford was. What did you guys make of that?
I love Nick Chubb. It's just, the season that he wants to have coming off the injuries, having a few games to get back, he needs a little more. I just think he needs a little more, and it's not about him being okay or hurt. Right now, Jerome Ford is the guy that, gives them the best chance to, stay on track with these running situations. It's not Nick Chubb. They're not getting the progress. They're not getting the, the production out of him right now. And it's unfortunate, but, right now, Jerome Ford gives them the best chance to, win a football game.
Unfortunately, it's a part of the game. We all love the way he plays football, and we really respect him as a football player. But as of today, he has not been the guy that he used to be. And maybe he will next year, and I hope he's still around to get to prove us all wrong. But I think it's still within his reach to be the guy he used to be. And like Josh said, Ford's a little quicker, a little more stronger to the punch, and that's what it's going to be now. Will he be back next year? He would if I was a head coach. He would if I was a head coach, because there's so many things about football. A guy gets hurt, college guy get hurt, they take his scholarship. NFL, you get hurt and all of a sudden they kick you to the curb. Nick Chubb is not a guy I want to kick to the curb. Nick Chubb is a guy I want to keep around my organization. And even if he doesn't play football, I still want him to be a part of what I'm doing as a football team and a city.
Yeah, I will really think about Nick Chubb's involvement with the team moving past next year. Even if he's not able to give them the production and they want to make a move, I would think and hope that a guy like Andrew Berry will come to him like, you know what, hey, I don't think, and it's a tough decision that you have a future any longer in the NFL. I think if you leave here, if we let you go, another, it'll be far and few for another team to pick you up. I think you should come be a scout and, join the upper management right now, and we take you so you can be a part of the program, be a part of this team. I hope that never happens. I hope next year he picks it up. We can hope all we want, but I think that's doing right by Nick Chubb if that time comes.
And as we say this today, the day Nick Chubb will rush for 100 yards.
And we'll want you to cancel this tape. Burn this footage.
How about that?
Burn the footage.
Go, Nick, go.
Najee Harris was burning it up last week against Cincinnati, and, everyone burns it up against the Bengals these days. But, this is a guy, he had the big rookie year. Sometimes with him it's just been volume, right? Volume can be king, and he gets a lot of it at times. But he seems to legitimately better this year.
You got the Wallace kid just helping him out.
Yeah.
They got the little flash. Warren.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job. They give you a different kind of look. He's running hard. He's getting first downs on short yardage situations. So he's not the guy that was last year. He's playing better, but the Warren kid helps him play his game a little bit better.
Yeah, he's the competition. Warren is the competition.
Oh, yeah.
They drafted and brought Najee there to be the running back, and then now it has caused Najee to uplift his game, to rise to the level. And this was helping Pittsburgh be where they are.
I like
they
that.
have a balanced attack, running and passing, and it's really helped Russ Wilson, be able to stay on track.
We're going to talk about Russ in the next segment here. In the meantime, Penguin Cam. When you have a hockey team named the Penguins, sure, you put up a Penguin Cam in Pittsburgh. Where's our Monster Cam here in Cleveland? And I want to know what it is we're actually looking at if you point it at a bunch of monsters. Cleveland19.com/vote. Place to go to get in on that. We'll talk about it next segment. The Tailgate continues here on 19. Yes. That steak sandwich is fantastic. Wow. I try to grab a half of that or something.
I'm trying to call dibs.
Steak and egg.
He's trying to
Huevos tortilla.
He said I'm going to get out.
Yep. That's that one, and that's, sure.
Reg, what you got, man? What's the
None.
gravy?
I eat everything plain, Josh. Most of the time, I'm a picky eater.
Okay.
I won't eat any of it.
Cool. Well, I got the other half of that. Since Reg,
Kevin, where you want to start?
I don't eat anything.
You want to start there?
You guys have all of it.
Swab, I'm gonna take one half. You got the other.
I'll take the other half, and then I'm probably good. Those are phenomenal.
And I guess everybody else can have at it. Even though that fruit bowl looks pretty good.
Food, follow the money, and whatever else. Got it.
Food, glorious food.
Actually, I need to ask Reg about breaking the curse. You told me I think everyone got a game, but we'll talk about that. We're going to do food. We'll talk Russell Wilson, and then we'll talk about that. That was 85 or 86?
86.
86.
When we swept them again.
Swept him the first time.
And now he's rubbing it in.
It became a repeat performance. You know what I'm saying?
Rub in. The boastful action.
I love you, Josh.
He's like, and we beat him again. And then he turns and looks at me like, what did y'all do? So we swept them 2 years.
But you balled out every time you played them.
I mean, I did. I would like to think I did my part.
Yes. Fifth quarter, 5 o'clock, Channel 19.
5 o'clock, nothing changes. 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, the game
that
will be
helps me.
over. The game will be over by. So.
You got it.
Mike, you gonna watch Hard Knocks?
Absolutely not. I could talk forever about that, or I could give you a two-word answer. The bottom line is that's coaching. No rest for the weary. You know, when we play Shaq, we're going to use our fouls. They could be 3-9, or they could be 9-3 and have that same posture. He's got a serial killer's mentality. It's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Follow the Money, sponsored by Cardinal Credit Union.
All right, first we're going to follow the food before we follow the money. We're going to get into Russ Wilson, but some of you are going to want to get into that. Trust me. That is the steak and egg sandwich they do here for their brunch. It is shaved beef, cheesy scrambled eggs, peppers, onions, bacon, a roll so fancy I can't even pronounce it, garlic aioli, I can barely get through that one, arugula, and potato cakes. That is,
Going to be eaten immediately after.
Cribbs and I might be racing to that one. The huevos del toro is fantastic. You like the way huevos?
Yeah, I like that.
Smooth.
Did you
Very
work on that all day?
Not really. I have very few skills, but being able to say that is one of them. There's chorizo in there, and cheese, and jalapenos, and pico de gallo, and that's really all you need to know. And southern biscuits and gravy. What else needs to be said? Pork sausage, buttermilk biscuits, home fries. Let's do it. Part of the brunch menu here at MGM Northfield. They take care of us every time when we are out here. It is fantastic. Russell Wilson has certainly taken care of the Steelers. He has been a bargain for them. When you look at the fact that Denver is still paying him, the Steelers are actually paying him less money than the Browns are paying their long snapper, Charlie Hewitt. That's one of the best bargains we've ever seen.
Yeah, that's how the NFL works, and that's how business is. And it's like that with coaches, and that's what a lot of people don't understand what's going on when you got guys that come from other teams or get fired before their time. They have guaranteed money, so they can go somewhere else and be a consultant, like Vrabel is for us. He's still being paid by Tennessee, so we got him for a steal, and that's what's going on with Russ right now. When a lot of teams didn't think that he had a lot in the tank, you know, we contended for Russ. I just want people to understand that. Andrew Berry attempted to get Russell Wilson. He did not want to come. So, you know, when we was looking around, we made decisions that would try to help us win, even though it backfired on us. So, you know, that's how the NFL works in business as it relates to the pay scales.
I love the stories when one coach or one group of folks decide that a guy's career is over and he's no good for me, and all of a sudden this guy goes to bed at night and wakes up with a new rebirth, new home, new city, new coach, new system, new opportunities, and he has success. Because so often that guy is in his head and being concerned whether or not he's ever going to have a chance to do it again. Russ got a chance, and he's making the most of it. So I like it.
Josh, that's really interesting. You said Barry tried to bring him here.
Yes.
Now, that's different than bringing Winston here, who had been a long-time backup at that point, even though he had been a starter. Wilson had been a clear starter. What was your understanding on how would that room have worked with Watson clearly then healthy and things?
Yeah, so it didn't matter how it would work. It would have, and you see how things happened with Russ being there with Justin Fields. It would have been the same dynamic. They would have been a quarterback room competing and seeing who would, be able to give us the best chance to win. Yeah. But you would have liked our quarterback room if Russell Wilson was in it. Yep. And Deshaun Watson didn't have to play because, look, they didn't have to give him anything. So they wanted Russell Wilson to be here with Deshaun because look who would be starting right now. It'd be Russell Wilson.
That is an interesting move. I'm told we got a breaker here from producer Chris. You going to pop something on the screen, sir? George Pickens inactive. Now, wait. I had seen earlier on Twitter that he was expected to play, but he is now listed as inactive. How does that hit you guys?
Well, it does take away a little talent off the field. It kind of erases the whole situation where him and Newsome was going to have like this get-back type of game or himself. So apparently, he's not ready, and the Steelers think they have enough to go out there and beat us in their home field. So this is one less, athlete out there on the field.
We play who's ready to go. It's Sunday. It's 1 o'clock. We play who's ready to go. If he ain't out there, who cares? Let's keep moving forward. We're trying to get some victories.
We only got about a minute left.
Okay.
I want to bring this up to you because you won there. You swept the Steelers twice, but you guys were there in '86 when you broke the curse. Browns hadn't won there in a billion years. What was that like?
It was a big-time game. I mean, because, like I said, when I got to Cleveland, I had no idea. We go down there, and we play them with Chuck Noll as coach, and we beat them the first time in '86. And, of course, we beat them in '88. And in '89, we beat them 51-0. I have 2 balls in my case at home at my parents' house.
Game balls.
One is the Pittsburgh game of breaking the jinx, and another one is my first touchdown.
You're looking at me when you say that, like you're boasting.
Well,
y'all wasn't playing against Hall of Fame Steelers and Hall of Fame coaches. Y'all didn't play against Bettis and company, and Roethlisberger and company, and Palomalu and all the other greats. Y'all just had guys out there on the field.
They were giving it to Walter Abercrombie. Yeah. They were throwing it to Lewis Lips.
Guys I never heard of.
You had Mark Malone. You had a bunch of completely average Steeler teams that nobody in Cleveland rooted for. Unlike now, all these front runners out of the woodwork.
A win is a win.
Fifth quarter today, 5 o'clock. We'll be back to talk about the Browns and Steelers.
Go Dogs.
See ya.